Boxing Stream.
All right, we're still trying to get some technical issues worked out here. We're in the first round of our first bout of the evening. Joselito Velasquez taking on Jose Alfredo Flores Chanez. Velasquez comes in with the record of 5-0, 5 knockouts, 24 years old, out of Mexico, while Chanez, the veteran, is 6-6 with 3 stoppages to his credit.
Oh, there we go.
And folks, as promised, we are seeing boxing on your screen.
Glasses change once again. There we go. Got to have a clear look at the future here.
Yeah, and Velasquez, as you can see on his trunks, on the slide, has his name in silver. He is now trained by Freddie Roach, who's very high on him. Actually was able to work with Donnie Nietes the past month or so at the wild card.
There's no better work. There's no better trainer a young up-and-coming former amateur star is going to want in his corner than a Hall of Famer like Freddie Roach. And he's got an excellent management promotional team up of Frank Espinosa and Sanford Promotions. It gets no better than that.
Velasquez turned pro after representing Mexico in the 2016 Olympics as he lands a couple of good left hooks to the body. In December of 2016, and one note here, this is his first fight of 2018 as he had a shoulder injury that kept him on the shelf. The last time we saw him was December 9th in Las Vegas, where he stopped Armando Vasquez in 5. And that's the end of round number 1. And again, once again, we are here at the Forum. It is Superfly 3 live undercard coverage. I am Steve Kim, joined by Doug Fisher and Cynthia Conte. We are here all the way till the beginning of the HBO broadcast, which starts at 6:45 p.m. Pacific. Cynthia, I'll go back to you real fast. Anything else stand out to you throughout the week during these events for Superfly?
Let's see. McWilliams, Kazuto, actually, when it comes back to Kazuto, Ioka, and McWilliams Arroyo, the one main question I did ask Kazuto was, he's coming off a 17-month layoff, and he's not even doing a tune-up fight. And he's like, well, when Ismail has said this is just how he is, he's a trained warrior, he's going to do fine. So that's interesting.
And I had heard that he had wanted to face contenders higher ranked than Arroyo.
Yeah, he did.
And they were not available to him. So he wanted to come back at the very top. If he could have arranged for a title shot upon ending his retirement, he would have done so.
Yeah, Doug, Kazuko Ioka was actually here February 24th for Superfly 2, and he actually stated it's at that point he made the decision to return to the boxing ring.
But he bought his own ticket to Superfly. That's the funniest thing. And he told me, he goes, when I saw these fighters in the ring, he goes, that's what brought him back, and I knew I can win all of them and be at the top again.
And round number 2 here, Velasquez getting revved up here, cranking a couple of left hooks to the body and to the top, starting to get his hands moving. Ring rust might be a factor, Doug, especially with the guy with only 5 fights under his belt, has not fought for about 10 months.
Yeah, that's a considerable amount of time out of the ring for a young prospect. Somebody who's still learning the game. Right now, I can tell that he's a cerebral boxer. He's not the busiest guy out there. He's always looking for openings. He's looking to slow the pace down to his liking, and he appears to be a counterpuncher.
And speaking to Roach, he really does believe, though, Velasquez is the type of guy, you're not going to need 25, 30 fights. And traditionally, in these lower weight classes, if you can be moved fast, there's really no other track except the fast one.
Yeah, there's a precedent for that. You especially see that with the Japanese standouts at these sub-bantamweight weight classes. But who's to say a Mexican fighter can't do the same if he had an extensive amateur background?
As for Chanez, on July 28th, that was his last outing, lost a 4-round decision to the brother of highly regarded prospect Carlos Balderas, losing a 4-rounder to Jose Balderas at the Staples Center.
So he's fought in the States before.
And he also has experience, Doug. Last May, he was stopped in 3 by Michael Conlon, notable Olympian from Ireland.
And Conlon much heavier.
Yes.
So maybe this is a more natural weight class for Chanez. I would imagine. I don't see him carrying featherweight very well.
Well, not only that, in 12 fights, he's only been stopped once, and that is by Conlon. So he's one of these tough, durable guys. Record may be a little bit upside down, but there is one thing. He will give you some quality rounds.
Exactly. And he's not just in there going rounds.
Yeah.
He's not in there showing how durable he is. He's in there trying to win. He's throwing punches.
Yeah.
In fact, the first round was not bad for Chanez.
I like the way he sits and punches like that.
And that is the end of round number 2 between Velasquez and Chanez. Coming up after this bout, we have a 4-round middleweight feature. Jonathan Esquivel will take on Joel Valenzuela. That is your next bout. And then you have the triple header eventually coming up on HBO. Some good stuff coming out. And earlier this afternoon, let's actually take a look at some of the replays here. And there is the left hook of Velasquez.
That's right. The hook landed to the breadbasket and then to the chin. And then he switched his position and let off a 1-2 combo.
And we begin round number 3 here, Velasquez and Chanez, scheduled for 6 rounds in the flyweight class. As we mentioned earlier, Velasquez is now trained by the renowned Freddie Roach. And for Doug, for Freddie Roach, it's a bit of a transition period post-Pacquiao, kind of retooling his whole stable with guys like Toka Khan Clary, Velasquez, and some other younger fighters.
Yeah, and we see that a lot with veteran boxing trainers. You just did a story recently on Joe Goosen, going through the same process where you have a bunch of name guys, you got a bunch of top 10 contenders and world title holders, and if you're blessed like Freddie Roach, you have a superstar or two like a Manny Pacquiao, and then they move on.
Yeah.
And, you know, so Pacquiao parted ways. Miguel Cotto retired, and some of these guys that were working with Freddie Roach just disappeared, like Frankie Gomez. And so you got to start over again.
Frankie Gomez, I remember him.
Remember that guy?
I remember him long ago. Whatever happened to old Frankie, you know? And speaking of Joe Goosen, he led Amir Khan to a victory. But Cynthia, boy, Amir looked very shaky today, I'll be honest.
Yeah, got dropped, but...
That's the Amir Khan experience, though, people. We know how talented he is, and he will always have that Achilles heel, even against a fighter the caliber of a Samuel Vargas.
I mean, now that, you know, he's been calling out Pacquiao, do you think that could even possibly happen after this fight with Vargas?
Yes, because...
Even more so.
Well,
if you're the opponent, you're like, I got this. I got this.
Look.
If Sammy Vargas put him down, I'm knocking him out.
Right, and there's a couple more left hooks by Velasquez, starting to get his offense going here.
And I like how he aimed him at the midsection of the journeyman.
And a good right hand over the top. So Velasquez now starting to put his punches together here in round number 3.
But the Amir Khan fight, just the first major main event in a very busy, actually not the first. The first one might have been that Andrew Maloney fight that you referenced from Australia.
He looked very good, by the way, and he might be getting a shot at Khalil Yafai. I think it is within reason to believe that Maloney one day might be on one of these Superfly
I think
cards.
So. I hope so. I would love to see the Maloney twins fight live, and Andrew's older brother is in the World Boxing Super Series Bantamweight tournament.
So Velasquez having a big round number 3 here, probably shaking off some of the ring rust from a 9-10 month layoff. And again, nice combination by Velasquez, punctuating a very strong third frame.
Yeah, Velasquez has his timing back. He didn't have it. He didn't have this form in the first round.
And you could visit 360 Promotions at www.360promotions.us, and you take a look at all these social media handles.
Beautiful body attack. 1-2 to the body, punctuated by a left hook, and then he gets out of position and out of range. Beautiful right cross, followed by a left hook. Both punches landed flush on the jaw of Chanez, who has solid whiskers, as we figured.
As we begin round number 4, we just want to let you know if you tweet us a question or a comment, we might just read it on the air. So please send them in, tag Cynthia, Doug, or myself. We're here all the way till the end of this undercard before HBO goes on the air. Once again, we are live at the Forum as part of the 360 Promotions undercard.
Now, somebody named James asked me on Twitter, said, on paper, Doug, how do you think Superfly 3 compares to its predecessors? Asking because as a boxing fan, I have choices tonight. One viewed live and the other recorded. Now, I can't tell them what to watch live or recorded. I would say Superfly 3 is up to snuff with its predecessors, except for the main event. However, I do think the main event has potential to be an entertaining fight. But I think Nietes, Palikte, and certainly Ioka Arroyo are as good as the co-main events from Superfly 1 and 2.
The original plan for Superfly 3 did include the rematch between Srikset Sorungvasai and Estrada, and that kind of went astray as some personal heartbreak for the Thai champion, so he will be defending his title on October 6th. Tom Loeffler believes that Superfly 4 should Estrada come out victorious as Velasquez lands another left hook, that might headline next year's initial Superfly chapter.
Possibly in February or March of 2019.
Doug, given the fact that Velasquez is a young fighter, only a 6th professional bout, 10-month layup, do you think he's better off going rounds tonight instead of a quick blowout?
Yes. Going rounds is the best thing for him. It's giving us an opportunity to see his toolbox, which is pretty deep. He does not look like a young fighter. He does not look like a guy who only has 5 pro bouts, all by knockout under his belt. He looks solid. He looks like a solid 8-round fighter. I see a complete game. And it's a mature game because he's not in a rush. He's not wild. I think he's a very good technician. And as the rounds go on, he becomes more and more entertaining and more offense-minded as he figures out the style of his journeyman opponent.
And you mentioned that Velasquez is managed under the direction of Frank Espinoza, who also manages Mexican Olympic teammate Raul Curiel, who is now also under the guidance of Freddie Roach at the Wild Card Boxing Club. And that's the end of round number 4. And you are looking live at the Forum. Fans starting to stream in here for Superfly 3. This is Steve Kim, Doug Fisher, and Cynthia Conte on the call. Busy night of action. It'll culminate in the main event, the WBC 115-pound elimination bout between Juan Francisco Estrada and Felipe Oracuta. All right, there's a lot of stuff going on in the sport of boxing. We can talk about that. Cynthia, you were out at the, I think, the Filipino Community Center a couple of weeks ago. Both fighters having a meet and greet, Nietes and the tall guy Palikte. What was that like?
That was fun. You know, a lot of Filipinos actually came out. Kids, Brian Valoria, Romero Duno. They all came out to support, and it was nice. It was just nice to see even kids just wanting to, getting their advice of like, how do I become a boxer? How do I become the next Manny Pacquiao? So it was nice to see all that camaraderie, and them two are just so nice when they talk about how they're going to fight each other. That's pretty much it.
And again, that is the co-feature of the night for the vacant WBO 115-pound title. Donnie Nietes taking on Acton Polite.
You know what's funny? During the weigh-ins, Donnie came in 1 pound heavier than Aston. And he's small, much smaller.
And about 4 inches smaller.
Oh.
And that was a throwdown, and you see Raul Caiz Sr. waving that off. Action getting a little bit awkward between the two here.
Chanez, beginning with last round, started employing some survival tactics like holding on.
Yeah.
Velasquez doesn't like that much. But these are the things he's going to have to learn how to deal with as a professional fighter.
Looks like they're going to make an adjustment on his trunks here.
Velasquez never neglects the body. Once he got warmed up and got his timing back, probably towards the end of round 2, every time he lets his hands go, he touches that body.
And Doug, you could absolutely tell Chanez is now in a bit of survival mode. Every time he grapples on the inside, you can see Velasquez kind of just looking over to Raul Caiz Sr. for some help. Bottom line is you got to let your hands go in that situation.
Absolutely. And as I noted earlier, these are the things that a young professional has to learn how to deal with. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Left, right to the body, and then a hook that beamed Chanez right in the forehead. And it was really the body attack that sort of put Chanez into that defensive survival shell. Although Chanez is trying to let his hands go a little bit here in the final half minute of round 5. I like the balance and footwork that Velasquez is showing against Chanez as well. He is not a stationary guy. He's not a plodding fighter by any stretch of the imagination. But he does plant those feet when he lets his hands go.
Yeah, and you can see again Chanez just locking up Velasquez on the inside. So it's 5 down, 1 to go here in our opener. A 6-round flyweight attraction between 2016 Mexican Olympian Joselito Velasquez and Jose Chanez.
Counter hook off of a body shot that Chanez threw, and Chanez goes right into the clinch, and Velasquez goes right into the hip toss. So no knockdown scored, but that was a takedown. Beautiful left hook to the body. He gets a little bit of distance,
Ooh,
and then
nice.
nails him to the temple with the left hook to the head.
I like how he stays in the pocket and makes sure he lands all his punches have been solid.
Yeah, but when he's in that pocket, he gets angles. He lets the hands go, and then he's off to either side.
With his footwork. Great footwork.
Let's hear it. This is the 6th and final round.
So the fighters touch him up here. 6th and final round here between Velasquez and Chanez. Let's see if Velasquez, if he can put an exclamation point on what's been a workmanlike performance in his debut outing for 2018.
Velasquez is really concentrating on that body. He must sense that he is hurting Chanez every time he goes downstairs. Either that or he's just very comfortable going to the body, which wouldn't surprise me. And this is my first time seeing him fight live, Steve.
Yeah.
And I like what I see. A very well-rounded young prospect. Blocking and countering very well. I haven't seen him hit flush to the jaw much at all in this fight. So he's got good glove placement, keeps his hands up. He ate a little soft uppercut on the inside right there. Chanez is kind of tricky.
Chanez is what you'd call cagey. Not necessarily skillful, certainly not an elegant fighter, but he finds a way to survive. And a young fighter like Velasquez, one thing they need quality rounds. They need to kind of learn how to swim in deeper waters, and he certainly got that experience tonight. And keep this in mind, ring rust was probably a factor, given the fact he has not been in action since December 9th.
Was there any explanation for that layoff?
Yeah, it was a shoulder injury that he had.
I see.
Isn't that when he made his debut, right?
Well, last December he
U.S.
fought.
debut.
Right. In fact, that was on the Orlando Salido Mickey Roman card.
Yeah.
Right. That was in Las Vegas.
Oh, look at you. See that familiar face? Deckerman. Yeah.
In fact, that is, yes, the cruiserweight Marco Deckerman, who made his debut.
Hollywood Fight Night.
Hollywood Fight Night, most recently.
His nickname before was Pretty Boy, and then now it's Deckmaker.
He is also part of that Freddie Roach stable, training out of the Wild Card Boxing Club. So we're coming to the end of our first bout of the evening. Velasquez taking on Chanez. And it looks like Velasquez is well on his way to improving his mark to 6-0, being taken the distance for the first time in his professional career. So, all right, so let's take a look at how our unofficial judges have it. Cynthia, what's your tally for this fight?
I was just showing Dougie we have the same 60-54.
So my math was correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a shutout.
Yeah,
All
pretty
6 rounds
much.
for Velasquez. Not a difficult fight to judge.
Good way to start out, Superfly.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, after 6 rounds, we go to the judges' scorecards. All three have it 60-54. Your winner by unanimous decision se mantiene invicto and still undefeated, Joselito Velasquez.
All right, so a successful maiden voyage between Joselito Velasquez and trainer Freddie Roach, improving his mark to 6-0 over the game and cagey Jose Alfredo Flores Chanez. Doug, your overall thoughts on what you saw?
I thought it was an impressive, solid performance from Velasquez. He's not one of those prospects with the type of athleticism that makes you go wow and jump out of your seat. He's a good overall technician with complete game, and